Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday, May 10th, 2024. Welcome to our pre-market prep session. This is our daily time where we go over the important news, notes, analysis, everything that's key to these crazy moving markets, right? We had teased to the downside, still have some downside possibility, but it might not be until we test all-time highs to really see. We've had this low volume dredge up this week, with two of the past days being some of the most low volume days we've seen in a while, and it makes you question the conviction behind the move that's going on. So we continue to keep our eyes open, keep our ears to the streets, and part of that is being here for these sessions where we go over this relevant news, talking about tech news and AI news and crypto news and trade and tariff news and all of these things that kind of play factors and play influencing roles into how the market performs each and every day. It's important for you to be aware of those factors, right? And that's what we do here in these sessions. So, welcome, right? We've had a week and a half, right? It seems sometimes the weeks seem slow, sometimes they seem fast. This just seemed like a week in which it was kind of longer, just because the market was more so trying to figure itself out. Now we're up here near all-time highs, but it's pretty interesting that the fear index is still very high. Um, Normally at all-time highs, the greed index is high, but it seems like people are anything but greedy currently. It seems like they're all kind of looking around like, okay, is this for real? So it illustrates that this doubt is kind of pervasive throughout markets. And they always say when others are fearful, be greedy, and then when others are greedy, be fearful. I don't know if there's been many times where the mix was flipped and people were fearful at all-time highs. Instead of greedy. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't count it as a shock. I feel like we've seen crazier things happen, and we'll continue to see crazy things happen. But the most important thing is that we continue to play the price action, right? So even with us possibly reversing yesterday and not ending up reversing, and that causing the L on spy puts, took some nice profit on spy puts from the swing 2 days ago into yesterday, but was expecting that next leg down, so I held for that. But Apple was able to come through in a nice way yesterday, on the day trade front. We have metals that are back again, running, pushing, SLV doing its thing, gold doing its thing. So that's been nice. And we've got CDX, of course, continuing to push. So that's been great, right? It's all a game of give and take, all a game of give and take. And you win some, you lose some, but it's important that you learn each and every step along the way. That is the biggest lesson always. You win or you learn. And a lot of times you win and you learn, but at least if you don't win, you got to make sure that you're learning something so that experience wasn't completely wasted, right? Now, without further ado, we're here to get 1% better each and every day, right? It's a little Japanese philosophy called Kaizen, and I'm hosting an online 3-day event in that exact same vein, focused on stocks and AI. If you're not registered for Kaizen, make sure you go to I'mBetterDaily.com. Get signed up for that. Get ready for that. It's going to be an amazing event. You guys know, for everyone that's been a part of the live teachings that I've had in the past, they never fail to hit the mark, right? They never fail to be timely. I always try and do something that's timely. If it's not, I won't do it at all, right? The reason why I'm doing something regarding AI now as opposed to when it just came out is because I've been able to use this and make money using this, and still currently making money using this. And I'm also seeing not as many people as I'd like utilize this in a way that can really change things for them in a fashion that's fast enough. Right. And that's really the biggest thing, is that this is something that once you hit this critical threshold, stuff starts to accelerate very quickly. Right. So you really don't have the time like you think you have to learn how to do certain things anymore. Right. It's not important to be scared. You don't want to fear monger, but it's also important to treat something like how it is. Right. If you didn't take the chicken out and mom told you to take the chicken out, and that chicken is not thawed and she's 30 minutes out, right? We know it takes chicken a long time to thaw, and she's 30 minutes out and you have not thawed that chicken. You now have to figure out different ways to get that thing thawed in time, because there you don't have that time anymore. And that's where we're at when it comes to things, especially like these AI tools, is that you now have to put yourself in positions that can accelerate your learning, just like that defrosting board. I don't know if you guys have one. If you don't, it's a great investment. Buy them off like Amazon, but you just sit frozen stuff on it and it defrosts it like expeditiously, and that's what you want, and that's what events like these allow you to do, is they allow you to truncate time, right? Save time, and and exponentially increase the amount of value you get from the time that you spend. um, so that's why we're having this at the time that we're doing it, and that same spirit is what flows through this session each and every day, which is getting 1% better daily, having no 0 days. You always want to get a little bit closer, be a little bit better. So that's what we do during these sessions, right? So throw a one in the chat signifying your intention to do just that, get 1% better. And let's dive into what we got going on this fine Friday, May 10th. So our top news, we're back. Momentum is back in the markets with major indices like the Dow, ticker DJI, S&P 500, and NASDAQ all just 1% away from all-time record highs. The bull run is continuing despite concerns that the Fed might hold rates higher for longer, with recent data tilting expectations toward future easing. Among those are higher than estimated jobless claims, rising unemployment, and slowing growth that could force the central bank's hand before it falls behind the curve. Now, snapshot, it's not all bad news. It's not all bad news is good news. Results from earnings season have caused the recent rally to grow legs, while the AI frenzy continues to be featured on corporate earnings calls and in daily headlines. Yeah, but I think it's a little bit different. I think that with the initial run that we had to start the year, it was fueled by Nvidia, right? These semiconductor companies, and they're not experiencing that same crazy, euphoric rise that they did previously. And I feel like that is something of note, right? It's not like we've got Nvidia going wild like it was coming into the year. It's been a lot of consolidation. And you've got, not only the, SPY and the broader market kind of approaching previous resistance with less strength, you've got Nvidia doing that as well, right? You've got a number of these tech companies that are showing this bearish divergence and not approaching resistance with strength that would normally be typical of a breakout. So we're in that spot where we could either double top on markets and then reverse back lower and, retrace the huge breakout we had on SPY and then continue higher, or we break out of all-time highs, right? And we fire up and we continue to go higher. But it's we're at a very important inflection point where you end up getting one or the other, and only the weeks to come will tell. But we'll of course be looking and making sure we're tracking price action to make sure that we are looking for all the indicators that might make it a higher probability of one or the other coming to fruition, right? And if you don't know how to read charts, you don't know what the heck is going on in markets, email me, adam@adamhalleneducates.com. You can start working with us, trading with us, deciphering price action with us. And it's a great place to be because more often than not, we tend to be on the right side of the moves that happen in this market, as well as managing our risk effectively, which is the key to long-term, fruition. Now, in terms of the target, okay, so in fact, over 80% of the S&P 500 companies have already finished reporting when it comes to earnings, with around 5% growth in Q1 earnings per share, according to FactSet. That's the largest year-over-year increase since Q2 of 2022 and would handily beat most analysts' expectations. Yeah, 1,000%. This is something that we talked about going into last week, is that the earnings report from these, Magnificent Seven, all the big techs, were going to be very important and very formative in how we moved from here. Will it be enough to carry us through to new all-time highs? We've got to see. You know, I'd say one thing that will be key is if Apple got moving. If Apple and Nvidia could work together to push markets higher, then I think, that could be something that is a tremendous spark. But we need Apple to just keep up the momentum, because Apple has tried to bust out of this falling wedge for a while and it hasn't quite been super successful. And, we pushed up out of it last week on big volume because of earnings. If Apple can get it going and get things moving, and Nvidia can come together and get things moving, nothing stops this market. But if those two things top out, then yeah, the market tops out. Let's see here. What happens to sell in May? As previously mentioned, Staying fully invested could prove safer than trying to time the market in any given year. While seasonal patterns do exist and equities could face some increased risk in the summer months, they still tend to go up over the long term despite additional volatility. Yeah, I'm not selling, don't sell any stock, right? Like when we say like sell in May and go away, at least me, I'm just talking about opening up yourself to the possibility of having to make some bearish trades, not selling your stock because that doesn't make sense. There's like no reason to be trying to time the market with shares. Shares is long-term investment, building up your wealth, right? When you're trading, yeah, sure, but I'm not going to sell stocks because of seasonality. No reason to do that whatsoever. In terms of seeking alpha commentary, investing group leader Lawrence Fuller, who previously flagged the weak track record of the sell in May and go away adage, is back with a fresh outlook on the rest of the year. Quote, the Bears are looking in the rearview mirror today to predict what may happen tomorrow. I think this is a big mistake, as was selling stocks during the pause to refresh in April. This bull market should march on throughout the remainder of 2024. Yeah, I definitely wholeheartedly agree with that. And the technicals agree, right? SPY got that huge monthly bull flag breakout. So we will continue to march overall bullish over the course of 2024 and 2025, unless we lose that breakout, right? I don't think that's any crazy supposition. That is funny. They're looking in the rearview mirror to predict what may happen tomorrow. That is also the definition of technical analysis, Lawrence. So, like, I get it that it makes for a good witty quote, but also when it comes to reading charts, which has proved to be a reputable way to try and gain insight into future price movement, like you should probably focus some on that too, because I don't think many people are basing their investing strategies off of sell in May and go away, but a lot of people are basing it off of Nvidia breaking that long-term downtrend like it did in November of 2022 that sparked the historic run, right? All of these different companies breaking these downtrends and going on crazy runs. That's because of technicals, right? So just because we are 10 days into May and Lawrence Fuller said sell in May and go away isn't viable. We're only 10 days into the month, my guy, so don't take that victory lap too early because we've still got over 20 more to go, right? We've still got more than twice of what we've already had, so don't hang your hat on it just yet. We got to be open to both sides and have plans for both sides. In terms of trade news, tariff time, the Biden administration is expected to announce new tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles and other strategic sectors, including batteries and solar equipment, on Tuesday. The fresh duties are a result of the White House's multi-year review of the Trump-era Section 301 tariffs that began in 2022. It's not just EVs. Biden last month proposed raising tariffs on Chinese steel and aluminum products to 25%, more than triple the current levy of 7.5%. An investigation into Chinese trade practices in shipbuilding, maritime, and logistics may also lead to new tariffs. Yeah, tariff time. So we had tariffs when Trump was in office, tariffs when Biden is in office. Again, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter who's in office. You got to know how to navigate these waters, right? These economic waters yourself. I'm not saying don't vote. People died for the right to vote. I'm just saying that it doesn't matter who's in office. They're not going to come to you and say, hey, Tracy, what do you want from me, right? And actually honor it. At the end of the day, you got to say, okay, this is what I want for myself. This is how I have to get that done myself. In terms of media news, AI content, popular short form video hosting TikTok service TikTok is starting to automatically label artificial intelligence generated content from other platforms. I think it's smart. Like, why? I'm not exactly sure. Maybe, just doing it now as impersonation of things start to grow. It's important. I think people knowing what's made from a real creator versus what isn't is important. Do people care? I doubt it. So far, it's shown that people don't really care. You have these AI influencers with millions of followers that are getting paid tons of money per post. People are starting to not care. But let's see here. Quote, we want to make sure people have the ability to understand what is fact and what is fiction, said Adam Presser, head of operations, TikTok. I think that's a weird statement considering the fact that this is TikTok. It's a social media platform where people can go and spew all the misinformation that they want. So I don't think that there's already a clearly outlined delineation between what is fact and what is fiction on social media. That's the whole reason why we had so many issues with Facebook in the 2008 election, right? Or whatever election it was that we had all the issues with Facebook. It all starts to blend together now. But it's like that's the whole big thing is that social media has a problem with misinformation. So you labeling what's AI and what's not, I don't think helps with the misinformation at all. Meta's Facebook and Instagram, as well as Alphabet's YouTube, already have such labels in place. OpenAI is also working on a tool to let content creators manage how their content is used to train artificial intelligence. If you don't know how to use AI to create content, like I used it to create the website for the Kaizen event, the videos for the Kaizen event, the copy, I'mBetterDaily.com, right? If you are someone who is in need of ever building a website, that's an event that you want to be at, right? Learn how to use these tools that can allow you to go text to whatever, text to video, text to all of this. And there's so many. That's the tough thing. You're like, well, Adam, I can just go and Google these different tools and then find them out for myself. Cool. I've gone and done that. You know how many crappy tools I had to go through? How many free tools that weren't free I had to go through? How many that actually had no AI enabled at all? Right? You pay for speed. That's the point. Is it just like with trading, right? I've gone through and I've had to trade election years. I've had to trade pandemics. I've had to trade natural disasters. I've had to trade freaking terrorist attacks with the Capitol getting stormed, right? You pay so that you don't have to go through all of that yourself, and then 10 years later be like, now I know how to navigate a Fed day, right? Or now I know how to do this. I've done it. I've done it. So you can go ahead. You can say, oh, hey, I'd rather go ahead and pay you to do it rather than waste thousands of hours of my own time and thousands of my own dollars to get it done. But when it comes to things like content and all that, you're struggling. You're like, I want to put out more content. I want to do this. I want to do that. Use AI to help you, right? Use it to help you as the tool that it is. And you might say, oh, what if it's labeled as AI content? That's completely fine. No one's gonna care, especially if it's like informational, this or that. People might care if you're like pretending to be a person and you're like, hey, my name is Jerry and I'm a, physical trainer and I've got a 12 pack and this is what I do. And then it turns out you're AI. Yeah, people might care about that. But even still, I don't really think they will. I think this is just to kind of, do a thing, but I don't really see it as being very important. I mean, maybe so the one of the reasons why is because with things like Trump in the arrest, the AI arrest pictures, like certain people could definitely think that those things are real. So with that, I can see that as being important because if you just have, oh, here's a photo of so and so like murdering someone, like, and they're trying to spread or have a smear campaign against a celebrity or something, that needs to be labeled. So that, okay, cool. That I get, but I was just thinking about general informational content and entertainment content. I don't think people would care, but yeah, for stuff like, especially when all those pictures of Trump getting arrested were going around, some people thought that those were real. So yeah, you got to have that outline for people because I'd say the overwhelming majority of people, as you guys know from interacting with them each and every day, not too bright, right? Not too bright at all. So I'd probably put the label in there because they will take that and just run with it. See how they're persecuting him? Why does it take 30 cops to arrest Donald Trump? This picture is not real, brother. My brother in Christ, this picture is AI. Please go touch grass. In terms of tech news, search competitor. Speaking of OpenAI, the company is likely to unveil its AI powered search product as soon as Monday as it attempts to break into a space dominated by Google. The product, which will be added to ChatGPT, will be able to search the web for information and cite sources in its results. Search is a major area of focus for the AI industry as companies crowd the market with their own chatbots, prompting competition over features. ChatGPT has also been integrated with Microsoft's Bing, while generative AI features have been added to Google. And it's also being integrated into the hardware, Microsoft's Copilot, which I love having on my laptop, my newer laptop. It's literally just built in and it's pretty fun, right? You can literally just go to it and ask it anything and it's like, having an assistant, but that is just always there. In terms of today's markets, we're green all the way across the board, right? A sight we haven't seen in a bit. In Asia, Japan up 0.4%, Hong Kong up 2.3, China flat. India up 0.4%, the footy in London up 0.8%, Paris up 0.7, Frankfurt up 0.6, the Dow up 0.3, S&P up 0.3, Nasdaq up 0.4, crude up 0.8%, gold up 1.8%, Bitcoin up 3.6%. Kashkari speaking at 10 a.m. That's probably the only thing today that could cause something crazy. Consumer sentiment at 10 a.m., Kashkari at 10 a.m. So two things at 10 a.m. that can cause some volatility in markets, some intraday volatility. What else is happening? BHP Anglo American deal sets off alarm bells in Japan's steel industry. BP eyes Tesla's supercharging sites for U.S. expansion. Musk's Neuralink reports malfunction in first inhuman brain implant. Um, yeah, I wonder which one happened when, because Musk tweeted yesterday, successful first 100 days with Neuralink brain implant. And then I saw headlines after that of first malfunction in Neuralink brain implant. So maybe he jinxed himself. I don't know. Pride Month, Target limits LGBTQ themed items in stores. Yeah, I feel like because they already felt the heat on that, right? Yeah, if you guys remember, Target had like all those different clothes that were just too far out there. They had like ram's heads and stuff on it. And they were meant for kids, and Target got slaughtered. They were like the biggest target in the, go woke, go broke movement. And Target just bled and bled and bled. So yeah, I don't doubt it, right? Maybe just keep it light this year. Roblox ticker RBLX plummets after cutting full year bookings forecast. T-Mobile ticker TMUS. Verizon in talks to split up US Cellular ticker USM. Report Sinclair explores sale of 30% of broadcast stations. Sinclair is a really big broadcasting network that you probably never heard of. Ticker SBGI. Warner, if you watch Succession, they're kind of like the family from Succession. Warner Bros. Ticker WBD flips to gain as Lord of the Rings set to return. Is that the show? Because I really like that show. Oh, new Lord of the Rings movie. Still down. Big Lord of the Rings fan. Norfolk Southern ticker NSCCEO. So the ticker is NSC, and then their CEO keeps job. Activists win board seats. Then another investigation: SEC probing Boeing's 737 safety claims. I mean, this is just it's a crazy ongoing saga with Boeing. You guys, I'm blown away. But anyways, that'll wrap us up for this week, May 10th, 2024. Guys, let's continue to get 1% better, continue to close the gap, and also take advantage of this monumental shift that's going on right now in front of our eyes, right? For all my people who love Shark Tank and you're like, man, I wish I could be a shark. I wish I could be Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban made his break during a time like this, a dispensation in time like this, right? People that founded Uber, Travis Kalanick, right? All of them, when the App Store was created, that was a monumental shift in the way that technology worked and business was done. They took advantage of it and they created unicorn companies, meaning that they were valued at billions of dollars. When these changes happen, we can sit by and be spectators, or we could be people that take advantage of that happening in real time, right? I choose to be the latter. Leave the spectators to the boring people. I got one life. I ain't trying to waste it. Speaking of not wasting it, have a great weekend, everybody. Go hug your loved ones. We'll be back here on Monday for our next Premarket Prep session. Have a good one.